The 2023 NFL Draft has concluded. What did the Jets do, and what do they do going forward? Let's talk about it. Well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watch2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. If you enjoy what you're watching, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate everybody's support. I wanted to take a few minutes today and talk about the Jets draft. Now, I'm not going to analyze every single Jets draft pick because, let's be honest, the vast majority of us, maybe we know 2 or 3 players that the Jets actually picked. So, yeah, I can't claim to give you the in-depth breakdown of Israel, the running back, or Zaire Barnes. Certainly not Jarek Bernard Converse. I wonder what kind of shoes he'll be wearing on the field, though. But I do want to talk about the Jets draft philosophy and some of the criticism that I've been seeing, and I wanted to respond to it. I've seen some of the Jets reporters talk about how this draft is underwhelming, how it's disappointing, how it's not that exciting. And their argument has been that the Jets, now that they have Aaron Rodgers, are a win-now team. They needed to do something to increase their odds of winning the Super Bowl this year. It felt like most of the picks that they had were meant for years down the road. Well, here's my thought on this. First of all, the Jets only had so many assets to work with. If you came into this draft expecting a repeat of last season, you couldn't do that. That was once in a lifetime. When you have 3 first-round picks as opposed to mostly day 3 picks, it's not going to be as sexy as a draft. It's just the way that goes. But I think that this is going to be the draft that was like one player away. Whether it was broderickjones being taken, there were rumors that owenpappoe, the very speedy linebacker who I liked a lot, was going to go. The Jets were right on the verge of taking him, but he got taken like 2 spots before, and they traded down. DeJuan Jones might have been the same story. That one I'm not sure about. But I definitely believe broderickjones and owenpappoe were legitimate Jets targets. So to me, I think they did pretty well considering what they had to work with. Because if we look at the idea of them needing to build up the roster for this year, well, how many players could they have drafted? How many positions could they have drafted for where they could have plugged in a starter immediately and given that player a chance to make a legitimate impact? Where were they needing a starter? Center was one, but then they signed Connor McGovern to a 1-year deal, so you could have drafted a developmental center. And to me, they did better than that in drafting Joe Tippmann. I think Tippmann is going to have he's going to have every opportunity to win the starting job. I think Connor McGovern is going to be sort of the first reserve at guard and center. That's what I'm thinking. I think it's going to be in your left guard, Tomlinson, center Tippmann, right guard AVT. That is my prediction for the interior offensive line. And then you got McGovern, Schweitzer, and Cologne right behind. So to me, center wasn't one. Offensive tackle, you can make the argument, but you know what? If the guys are healthy, you can work with it. Between Dwayne Brown, Mekhi Becton, Max Mitchell, you could slide AVT there in an emergency, but you didn't necessarily need one to start right away. Granted, you are gambling by going this direction. Now, they did draft carterwarren, who's probably a developmental guy. I don't expect him to be seeing the field too much this year. If he does, it's probably a lot more injuries. But I could definitely see a scenario where the Jets slide out AVT to right tackle again. He proved he could do it. It wouldn't surprise me because the Jets' interior offensive line depth is really, really impressive. Way more so than their offensive tackle depth. Wide receiver was another one. Now, a lot of people wanted Jackson Smith-Njigba. To me, I was not very interested in getting a wide receiver in the first round. To me, just about any wide receiver you bring in, Aaron freaking Rodgers is throwing him the football. Rodgers is going to elevate their play. Aaron Rodgers has thrown touchdowns to 47 different players in his career. And if I went through the entire list, about half of them, the average football fan has never heard of a single day in their life. So to me, I don't feel like they needed a first-round wide receiver. I would have understood the logic, but you know what? I'm willing to go to war with Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, McCole Hardman, Alan Lazard, and Denzel Mims, and that's not even factoring in the running backs and the tight ends as well. So I didn't feel the need to go running back. I would have gone defensive tackle. After the offensive tackles all four went, calijahkancey would have been a player I would have been very happy to get. Mozzie Smith I would have been happy to get. They didn't, it just didn't work out that way. And instead they go with Will McDonald. And here's the one thing. We talked about this on the previous video. The Jets love to rotate their edge rushers. They cannot have enough edge rushers. I've even seen people in online chats say, we've got too many edge rushers. Do you think the 2008 New York Giants had enough edge rushers when they beat New England? They couldn't have enough. And it's the same philosophy here, and it makes all the sense in the world. And with Bryce Huff and Carl Lawson on the last year of their contracts, you got to keep building up that pipeline. You can't be doing that enough. So that to me was a very, very big deal. I felt like with starters, defensive tackle was about the only spot they could have plugged in a starter in this draft. Now, they didn't take a defensive tackle at all. They brought in one undrafted free agent. I got to be honest, with some of these guys who are still out there on the market, Poona Ford, who I've wanted since the beginning of free agency, Al Woods, I could see the Jets signing one of those guys, plugging him in, along with Quentin Jefferson and, of course, Quinton Williams, then Solomon Thomas and Tenzel Smart, and you can roll with that. So I do think the Jets will sign a free agent defensive tackle. That is my prediction there. Now, with some of the picks they have, I love that Joe Tippmann was my favorite draft pick, probably. I was very happy that they signed him. I felt they really had to upgrade that particular spot. As far as Israel, the running back, goes, I wanted the Jets to bring in a running back, especially once Ty Johnson was released. And I got to be honest right now, I don't trust Michael Carter. I like Michael Carter. I want to like Michael Carter. But he still seems to be in a very sad, pitiful mood since the Jets traded his boy, Elijah Moore. His profile photo on Twitter is still blacked out. There's nothing Jets related on his page whatsoever. I still wonder where Carter's head is. I like Bam Knight, but you can't go just Carter and Knight while Breece Hall is recovering. You needed another piece, and Israel has Abanikanda. Every time I want to say Anaconda when I say his last name. But he has incredible breakaway speed. He's a champion sprinter. And I love that. He has breakaway speed. The offensive line opens up the hole. He can really, really go, and that excites me. I got to talk about one other player, because this one's a little bit personal for me and for my club, the Virginia Jets fans. See, there's a bunch of us. We have about 5 or 6 of us. We have season tickets to Old Dominion University football in Norfolk, Virginia. And so when we found out that Zackkuntz was going to be drafted by the Jets in the 7th round, 220 overall, I only wish I could have been with them. We did our chili cook-off today, which was great, but unfortunately the party ended around the 5th round because we were just waiting so long. And now I regret that. I wish we could have stayed and just celebrated Zackkuntz being drafted. The guy is an unbelievable athlete, a 10.0 relative athletic score, the highest you can get. If there's ever a sign of what Joe Douglas wants in a draft pick, look at the RAS, the relative athletic score. It's almost always over a 9. Almost always. Kuntz is an incredible athlete. I am so excited to see him become a Jet. Now, with Conklin, with Uzama, with Ruckert, I think this is probably the end for Kenny Yeboah. But that's just part of it. I don't think Kuntz will get a lot of attention, a whole lot of game time to start off. But I do hope he will be on the roster. Maybe he'll be in an active role. But I'm just so excited about his potential, what he could be. And it wouldn't surprise me if he hits the field a little bit later in the season and he develops a little connection with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying, don't be surprised by it. So as far as how I feel about this draft overall, I feel okay about it. There were, like I said, a number of players that I didn't know, but, we're always going to give them a chance. And certainly the first round would have gone, we would have been happier if an offensive tackle could have been taken. And I really wanted a defensive tackle. But I feel the center position was addressed very well. Running back addressed very well. You add another playmaker in the tight end. The cornerback and linebacker, we'll see what that is. I still think there'll be 1 or 2 more free agents coming in. Right now, if I had to grade it, I'd probably go like a B-. I think that's about as fair of a grade as I can give. So those are just some brief thoughts I have on the NFL draft. I've just also put videos up, by the way, on the Rangers, the Knicks Heat series, and the Celtics 76ers series. So check all those out at NY Sports WickerMedia. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.